watched Matt evolve from this person who was like literally angry and an alpha personality and very educated. So when I first took him on as a client, I was like, it's gonna be different for me, you know? Like I'm not used to dealing with people that have a lot of higher education, and this guy's fucking mad, right? I see him telling people to fuck off like me all the time, and comments and stuff like that. And then we've been working together for probably 9 or 10 months now. But I watched about 3 months into this, like he's an action taker off the get-go. But I watched about 3 months into this, he said, I'm gonna write a book. I'm like, cool. Out of 70 people in the tribe, 70 have told me they're gonna write a book. And I think 10 or 11 of them have actually their book completed, which is still a high percentage when you think about it. But I'm like, okay, cool, so we'll help you with the book. So he writes this book, and then I write the foreword for a lot of the book. So I read the book, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. You can position yourself this way. And as he's another example of, once you get into our network in the tribe, I know a lot of people. So I plugged him in with a friend of mine that has like fucking hundreds of houses. And then Matt, he's like, oh, Stewman sent you? You can just sell all 100 houses if you want. And gives Matt the business, and Matt comes up with this book and a way to leverage this real estate that now he's got his hands on that he can move. And I don't want to ruin too much of his story, but then changes the pricing structure. And like, I know that when Adam Stark changed the pricing structure in Jefferson City, people freaked out. They're like, there's no way you can make 8% plus $1,000 on a real estate transaction. And he's like, watch me. Yeah, exactly. And there's people that told Matt, it's like, there's no way you can make $20,000 on a $60,000 house. Watch me, you know, and he's done it. And so I've literally watched this man's life change. And he's the most educated person that we've ever had. He's also one of the most prolific action takers that we've ever had as well. So that's why I reached out to him and asked him to speak at this event. He's been to 3 or 4 of these events, so it's not like he had to come here. But literally, if you're in Entourage, he's the closer of the month next month. We tell his story in there and give him that. And so I wanted him to share the story and the journey that he's been on with you guys. So let's give a round of applause for my friend. Despite those fucking weird shoes.
Yeah, they asked me if I could climb a tree. Yeah, so I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk. And standing in a group like this, I get nervous, you know? No, I know.
It's bigger than last time.
It is bigger than last time. And it's cool because I've been to a couple of these. Like the last one I was at, I missed March because I was at a real estate investing thing. But the last one I was at, Kevin Nations was doing this. And I even told Tim, I'm like, I don't belong in, you know, like I pay Alex Sharfin a lot of money. You know, people pay Kevin Nations 6 figures to hear him talk and mastermind with them. So why do these people want to hear from me? But, you know, the stuff that Ryan teaches, it was interesting because obviously I have a PhD, I wrote this book. I'm not like Dr. Dre. I actually have a doctorate. And I brought a shit ton of them, so please take a bunch. If what we talk about here this afternoon, you're like, shit, man, that's cool. Grab like 3, give them to people. Because obviously it's a funnel. You're going to end up on my site. But at the same time, too, I don't want to take these and bring them home with me because they're heavy. So, and I didn't bring an extra suitcase, so please don't. I mean, I'll take a couple, but anyway. So the thing is, when I went through getting a doctorate, I questioned everything of the process. I had a big head going into it because my undergrad was in mechanical engineering. And I'm sitting there going, okay, a business degree is going to be fucking cake because I'm an engineer. Because that's just the mindset, right? I was led down the path of you're going to college, there's no option, you have no choice. And so for me, high school was just a function of get to college. College was just a function of get out in the working world. And it's interesting because some of the shit we do now is so similar to stuff we did when I was a college student. So I joined a fraternity, and it wasn't a traditional, like, you know, haze the shit out of people. I mean, we did that too, but I had this bright idea, and I'm like, hey, this is really cool. And I felt finally connected to like a community of people for the first time in my life. And I was like, this is cool. What we should do is we should go out and you should join 2 things on campus, and you should join 2 things, you should join 2 things, and then we'll eventually work up our way to the point where we're in charge, and then we can control everything. And we did. We did. We controlled everything. And I ended up becoming the president of a for like the biggest honor society that they had, which was kind of funny. But once a month we'd have a thing, we'd order a bunch of food, people come in, and there'd be like thousands of people, and I'm like, hey, I'm the president. And I eventually got to the point where I was running that honor society for all of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and Kentucky.
Wow.
And I would walk around campus and people would be like, hey, Matt. And people with me would be like, who's that? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. But you know what? As like a 19, 20-year-old kid, 21, on a college campus, it was like, I'm a fucking rock star.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And with what we had created and the ability of what we had done in a short period of time and the fact that I felt like people know who I am, I'm like, I never want this to end. It's like a drug. It feeds your ego, right? And then so I graduated early, did a 5-year degree in 4 years. So my big rush was to go get a job. And then soon out in industry, I realized nobody gives a fuck what you did in college. Nobody gives a shit how smart you think you are. At the end of the day, it's plug in, do this. We're not interested in your thoughts or ideas. And just do what we ask you to do. And then when you're like, well, hey, couldn't we do this a little bit differently or a little bit better? No, just do it the way we tell you to do it. So it wasn't very long before I went, well, shit, why did I spend all this effort to get done fast when this was a lot of fun? And I felt like I was on this trajectory for the moon. And now I'm out in industry and I'm like, man, this sucks. And so what am I going to do? So I bounced from job to job, things like that. And every time I felt like, okay, this would be a better opportunity. I feel like I'm smarter than the average bear. Maybe somebody's going to finally take advantage of the fact that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I would get bored, and so I'd go back to school. Because I thought, maybe when I get to this level, I'll feel fulfilled. And I would get to that level, and I'm like, nope, this still sucks. All right, so I'll go back to school again, or I'll get another certificate or another credential. Dude, I have a mechanical engineering degree, then I went and got an MBA, then I went to fucking law school, and I didn't take the bar, because you have a whole other fiduciary responsibility once you actually pass a bar exam. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to be an attorney, so I'm not going to do that. But what I really liked was this. I liked the idea of being able to, take what I got up here and share it. And I thought, okay, if I go to law school, if I finish, I'll go out in industry. Because I was a registered engineer, still am. I thought, I'm going to go into patent law because they make fucking bank. And here's the funny thing. The perspective of that was, I mean, what's a new patent attorney make? Probably $135,000 a year. And if you're a partner in a firm, maybe you make $300,000 a year, but you're working about 100 hours a week. But to me, I was like, yeah, this is killer. And so I thought, okay, if I really wanted to teach, I'll just go get a PhD. And I'm like, I already have an MBA, so I'll just go get a PhD in business. So according to Alex Sharfin, I'm Dr. Business. And the funny thing is, so I should be the best person at running a company, right? I should be the best person at starting a business, right? They don't fucking teach you that. You know what they teach you in college? How to be a really good employee. And I found out a long time ago that's not what I wanted to do. I'm a really bad employee. I'm assuming probably everybody in this room is also a really bad employee too. We're in good company, except Carly. She's the best employee. She works with us. So when I had that realization, because I was teaching and I was writing, I was getting published and stuff like that, like technical journals and whatnot. And when I had this realization, I'm like, I can't stand up here and continue to proliferate the bullshit. Not that there's anything wrong with college. Obviously, I'm super highly overeducated. And everything you do has led to this point, right? So the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, it all adds up. So you can't sit here and say, am I more happy than sad about where I am right now in life? And if the answer is yeah, I'm more happy than sad, and everybody should be pretty thrilled to be in this room. But if you're more happy than sad, then you have to say everything I've done, all of it, has added up to where I'm at right now. and it's made you who you are. And you know, Ryan can probably tell you more than anybody else that it's the hard shit that you come through that makes you better, that makes you stand out at the end of the day. Because if you can overcome that shit, like, normal stuff is not a big deal, right? I mean, you've been through shit that I've never been through, and I wouldn't want to go through. I'll just be perfectly honest.
People I don't like.
Right. So what I ended up doing was, when I was in college, I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's like a gateway drug to real estate. Almost everybody that's a real estate investor, if you ask them, like, where did you realize you wanted to be a real estate investor? And they're like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the funny thing is, it's not a real estate book. And so, and which is really, it's almost ironic, and I love irony, is the fact that this isn't a real estate investing book either. But it is going to basically, it's my story about realizing that I wanted to get out of what I was doing and that I needed more, I was destined for more, and figuring out a way through basically failing and failing and failing and failing and failing over and over and over again to get rid of what I didn't want. And for me, that was my job. And I've been fired a lot. You know, people don't like to be told that they're wrong. I'm really good at telling people that they're wrong. You know, when they tell you if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to change rooms. I'm smart, dude. Like, it's hard, you know? And the thing is, and this is what I realized at one point in time, is that our society's created this trap. And I call it the middle class trap. And what it is we're steering the herd, the sheep, right into the college, front doors of the college system. We're creating really good employees. They enter the workforce with college loans that they have to literally work without paying a dime for 5 years to even have a prayer of repaying. College repayment now is like 20 years. They've now got 40-year college repayments. Isn't that fucking ridiculous? You can't even get a home loan for 40 years unless it's like a jumbo loan. But yet, we'll allow you to repay college for 40 years. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with college. It's for the right person, right? But you got to know what you're doing, you know? Like my wife, she's a nurse. She loves it. I'd love for her to come work with us. She loves what she does. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. But it is what it is. So the thing was, we started getting into rentals. I started flipping houses that I would live in. I call them live-in flips, if you've listened to my podcast, Cash Flow King podcast. It's new. Same guy that did Ryan's is doing mine. We just like, you know, you take advantage of your network, right? So we started doing live-in flips. So what we would do is we'd buy a house that needed work and I'd live in it because I could take advantage of the fact that you can get owner-occupant financing. So I'd buy a house for 3% down. I'll live in it, I'll do the work while, you know, after on the nights and weekends after work, and then I would flip it. I'd sell it and go move into something better. And I'd take the equity that we had built up and we just roll it into the next one. Well, then eventually we got to the point where it was like, hey, I know that rentals is the deal. Because at the end of the day, if I can sit back and I can get paid to not do anything, like that seems pretty cool. And I got to figure out a way to do that, right? And the funny thing is we make things super hard. It's really not that hard. I mean, obviously it takes money to make money, but you can do it without any money. And I can show you how to do it. It's not that hard. But so we started getting rentals. And we got to the point where I was making enough money in rentals where I didn't need my job anymore. I was like, this is pretty cool. Because I was making a lot of money. At the time, my last job as a contractor, I was a senior project manager. And I thought I legitimately was king shit. I was making $125,000 a year as a salaried employee. My wife was working as a manager on a nursing unit, and she was making about 65. And so our combined income was right around 200K. And I can tell you, we were broke as fuck. And that's a blog post I wrote. Because the reality is, you can't live on 6 figures anymore. You just can't. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people work on minimum wage. It just blows my mind. The average household income in Cleveland, Ohio is $26,000 a year. That's the household income. It's basically 2 people making minimum wage. And people go, how are all these houses for like $40,000, $50,000, $60,000? Nobody can fucking live in them because nobody makes any money. So we're all broke. I was broke at $200,000 a year. The other thing that you have when you have a safety net of salary is you burn a lot of money because you're going to get more next week. They proliferate this thought process of, I just hit the feeder pellet and out pops money next week. It's awesome. And so, you want to make a pile of it right here on the table and you want to set it on fire? Yeah. That's basically what we were doing. I mean, it was death by 1,000 cuts. I'd pull up like bank statement. Where's all the fucking money? We went to Target 12 times last month, and every time we go, we spend like $400, $500. Shit. But that's okay. We're gonna make more next week. So the thing was, when you all of a sudden get to the point where you've got enough money coming in passively that you don't need your job anymore, you become a really bad employee. Like when you need that paycheck, you can be a bad employee, but you can't be that bad because you still need that paycheck next week. Now all of a sudden when you don't need it anymore, and the boss is like, hey Matt, it's 4 o'clock on Friday, and we need you here for a mandatory meeting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We're gonna have the whole company here. And be like, no. I'm like, I'm going to the park with my kids, like Saturday's family day. And he's like, no, but the whole company's coming in tomorrow. I'm like, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about what we're gonna do next week. Let's do that Monday. No, we're doing it tomorrow and you're gonna be here. I said no. Like, what's so hard about this? So I didn't last very long there. It was a whole 6 months. And I was driving about an hour to work each day. And the thing was, to me, that was a lot of money. And the funny thing was that Ryan says, like, this is the most educated dude I've ever worked with. You know how much I had to unlearn when I started working with Ryan? A ton. It took me probably 3 months just to unwind everything that I thought I knew. And it was the people in the tribe. Because, yeah, I'm the most educated person in the group. That doesn't mean I'm the smartest. And that doesn't mean I'm the best. And it doesn't mean I'm the most successful. And I'd have conversations with people because it's a small group, it's a tight group. So I'd get on the phone with people, and people that, like, before, I'd see their posts on Facebook and I'd be like, you fucking spelled that wrong. That's not how you use a semicolon. That's not the right form of there, dumbass. And I wouldn't, sometimes I'd say it. Most times I wouldn't. I'd just sit there and be like, idiots. And here the thing was, I was having conversations with people, not those people, but similar people that like can't fucking spell, don't use the right form of two or two. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, so what's up with your business? What do you do? You know, we had a rough year last year. I only made like $650,000. I'm like, what? And when I joined the tribe, and Ryan was like, the intake form, for those of you that are joining up, is long and it takes a bit of time. And I was the dude, like Ryan's like, so what made you want to reach out? Well, back in the 4th grade. and he was probably like, oh yeah, awesome.
That's exactly what happened.
I think it was. And I think at one point in time, I was like totally monologuing for like 25 minutes, and I'm thinking, I don't even know if he's listening to me. I'm just gonna keep going. But the funny thing is, on the intake form, it's like, do you make $20,000 a month? And I'm like, no. Now, we had a bunch of rentals. Are my rentals bringing in $20,000 a month in revenue? Yeah. How much money do you make on a rental? I mean, when you've got loans, a few $100 a month. So am I really making $20,000 a month? No. I mean, I got fired on New Year's Eve, 2015. I was the only one that got brought into work on New Year's Eve. And I thought it was weird, but I woke up and I was like, I think I'm getting fired today. And no, I pressed my shirt, I cleaned up the beard, and I literally kissed my wife goodbye and I said, I'm probably gonna be home early. I think today's my last day. She's like, why would you say that? I'm like, I've been here before. I just have this feeling like it's coming. And at 10 a.m., they were like, hey, can you come into Bill's office? That was the owner of the company. And he goes, I don't think this is working out. I'm like, I know it isn't. I've known this since like the second week I've been here. And he goes, well, here's your last check, which makes total sense. I mean, if you're going to fire somebody, fire them on the last day of the year so you don't have to write a W-2 for the following year. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, take care. And he's like, what are you going to do next? I'm like, do you really give a fuck what I'm going to do next? I'm like, just give me my check. I'll see you later. And here's the thing. I drove home and I'm like, I'm never going back to being an employee. I have no idea what that means. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen. But the thing was, I had always been a real estate investor. That was always my side hustle, right? I'd flipped houses that I'd lived in over the years, and now we had a rental portfolio. And I thought, the universe is telling me, because I got recruited to that job. So I left a really cushy job. I got literally paid to write my PhD because I was working for a consultant for the first time, and talk about cake. I was making $100K basically to sit and write my dissertation because they didn't have enough shit for me to do. Like, I know how Carly feels. Like, I send her home early every day. I'm like, you're good. See ya. And, you know.
Enjoy that while it lasts.
Right. Yeah, we're about to change that. But, so, I left that cushy job because that recruiter was like, hey, dangle the golden carrot. I'm like, awesome. The thing is, if I never left that cushy job, I might still be there. Who knows? But because it was really easy. So I went to that really shitty job, and that was like with a tipping point that pushed me over the edge. Well, we had really started ramping up the rental stuff, and we had actually flipped a couple houses that year. And so I thought, man, this is like, I'm kind of a sucker for staying at work all day when I can flip a house and make 40 grand. And so I decided I'm going to get a real estate license. So I decided that like the month before I got fired. And so January 3rd, I was actually starting real estate school before I got fired. And I was going to take classes on nights and weekends, and it was still going to be my side hustle. And I was just going to use my license to have MLS access to find rentals because I was sick and tired of working with shitty real estate agents. And the thing was, I got home and I told Amy, my wife, and I said, I think I need to switch my classes to full-time, and I think we need to like give this a shot. We don't need to replace the income. The rentals are doing okay. We're not like rich or anything, but it's stable. And I thought, you know, and if I wanted to, I could sell some houses. You know, it's not what I wanted to do, but hey, I'm thinking like, fuck, we live in a nice area. If I sell $400,000 house, like that's big money. It was about what I was making in a month in one deal. And so I got my real estate license full time, started doing that, and realized really, really quick that it's hard. I'd never been, I mean, I had always been a salesperson because I'd sold everybody on things. I'm a really good manipulator. I am. I go to therapy, and that's what they tell me. My wife tells me all the time too, don't manipulate me. All right, sorry. But anyway, I've always been good. Like I was a project manager, so I'm the head of the construction project, and you're the owner, you work for the city, and I gotta come in and I gotta basically tell you, hey, look, we fucked something up, but you're gonna pay for it, and you're gonna be really happy about it. And that was my job to basically twist that and make it seem like you were really happy that this just happened, and sure, here, sign here, I'll pay you 60 grand to basically fix your own fuck up. That was my job. And I was really, really good at it. And so I thought, okay, I can do the sales thing, right? But I'd never done it. I'd never done marketing. I had a degree, right? How good's the degree? Yeah? This is probably better than your whole degree the last 2 days, right? So I started out and I'm like, damn, this is hard. And then because I had changed my status on Facebook to real estate agent, now I started seeing ads from everybody.
Oh, shit.
And I signed up for Mike Dillard's thing first because I was a real estate investor, and your power's in your list. The more people on your list, the more people can buy from you. And so Mike's got this program, really simple, called List Grow. And I was like, I want to make my list grow. And it was $1,500 and I was like, all right. And the funny thing was when I bought Break Free Academy Digital, I already had all the shit because Mike does the same thing. But anyway, I decided really quickly that as a solo agent, I was never going to get paid. Never. The people that make a lot of money as solo agents, I don't know how the fuck they do it. Because if you're running more than like 5 or 7 buyers at a time, you're working like 20 hours a day with your hair on fire, and maybe you're making 5 figures a month. Maybe. So I realized really quickly, so I always see the angle. And so really quickly I'm like, I need other people doing this and they need to be paying me. Like the broker's got it figured out. You go work your ass off, little ants, and I'm going to take 30% of everything you do. Ha ha ha. So I'm like, I need to build a team. Well, who builds teams better than anybody else? At least what they'll tell you is Keller Williams. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go with Keller Williams. And I'm going to build a team. And they're like, you need to build this like cool brand. Like the team leader at the office at the time, she was really cool. She was almost like, she'd fit in really good in this group. But she's like, you should do something that needs to be edgy. Because you're like, you're tattooed, you're big. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we should do like the hardcore sales team. And she's like, I like it. And so I got on the Google machine and I'm like, I just want to make sure there's no other hardcore sales team out there because I don't want to get sued. And so when I Googled hardcore sales team, I found the hardcore closer. And I'm like, who's this douchebag with the faux hawk? And then,
like the rest of y'all didn't think that the first time you saw me.
and then I saw, and then I'm like, man, this guy's got a bunch of YouTube videos. I'm like, man, he's on like cocaine. And I saw the video where he's like, if you don't have $10,000 in your bank account, you are broke as fuck. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And he's like, and you should be ashamed of yourself. I'm like, I am. But so that was in February of 2016. And so I'm in the email list, and I went through the system a little faster than everybody else does. I've always matriculated fast. And so I went out, my tattoo artist is my best friend, which you probably can tell. And so I'm out in Phoenix, because I used to live out there. I rode the market all the way up and rode it all the way down and lost my ass in the process. All the equity I'd built up over all of the years, I had just continued to roll into house, into house, into house. When we built our house in Phoenix, the purchase price was like $350. I shit you not, like all I was doing these like live and flip things. I rolled in $250,000 in equity. So when I sold my house and then built the new one, so I was 27, I built like a 3,200 square foot house in Phoenix. I felt like I was, doing pretty good because I only had a $150,000 mortgage. And when the market crashed, well, so in the peak of the market, my house was worth $650. And then when the market crashed, the bank took it back for $180. So I lost everything. We put a renter in there. They paid me first month's rent and security deposit, and that was it. At the bottom of the market in Phoenix, there were 77,000 vacant homes in the valley. It was a renter's paradise. People would be like, I'll live in your 4,000 square foot house, I'll pay you $500. And you're like, great, at least somebody's living there, at least I'm making something. So the thing was, I'm out in Phoenix, and my buddy Josh is like, hey, you don't have a real job anymore. I'm like, fuck you, dude. And he's like, no. He's like, come on, man. He's like, no, you're self-employed. He's like, you were getting random drug tested all the time when you were in construction. He's like, you want to smoke some weed? I'm like, yeah.
The answer is always yes.
Yes. And what I actually said was, I'm like, dude, I haven't smoked weed since college. He's like, how long ago was that? I'm like, like 15 years ago? He's like, all right, I'll light it up. So I'm higher than giraffe ass, and I got an email from Robot Stewman who says, Break Free Academy Digital is going to be $9.97 for 24 more hours. And you need to sign up now. And me, like, high as fuck, I'm like, okay. And I bought it. And then the upsell goes, you should buy Show Up and Close for $4.97. I'm like, okay, Robot Stewman. Whatever you say. So I bought that too. So I dropped $1,500. And keep in mind, I just dropped $1,500 on ListGrow. So now I'm just like making it rain on training programs. I hadn't even started ListGrow. And the funny thing is about like this whole story, I didn't even remember I bought Break Free Academy Digital or Show Up and Close. It was a month. I bought it. Nobody added me to the Facebook group. And one day I'm in Sales Talk with Sales Pros and somebody goes, what's the best training program for a new real estate agent? And I'm like, oh, I'm a relatively new real estate agent. I'm interested in this answer. And somebody goes, you should buy Break Free Academy Digital. And I'm like, motherfucker. And I type into my email search, Break Free Academy, and sure enough, there goes an email from Lindsay Davis. Here's your login info. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, the summertime's the best time, and I've just been wasting it. And I didn't even know. So I opened the thing up, and actually I emailed Lindsay. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of an idiot. And I bought this, and I haven't opened it. Is my login still good? And she's like, yeah, it's good. And what was funny was so I get into doing that. I do that for a bit. I get to the point where we're going to talk about this afternoon on targeting and retargeting and all that kind of stuff, which is the hard part. No. It's the part that takes the most work. And the thing was, I'm like, man, like I built a funnel in 2 hours and this was cool. And now I got ads to it, running to it, and it's not working. And I'm like, and I need help. And then I get an email from Robot Stewman, and it's like, would you like to work with me one-on-one? And I'm like, yes, Robot Stewman, yes, I would. And see, here's the funny thing. Like, I was in a fraternity, remember? So I'm totally cool with paying for my friends. And my tattoo artist is my best friend, legitimately my best friend. I've paid him a lot of money. I'm completely covered. I only have a little bit of real estate left. That's why I did my hands. I'm running out of room. My wife won't let me go above the neck, so that's out. So I'm like, hands it is. I think it looks cool. So, but it is what it is. And honestly, I'm going on a tangent here, but the thing is, for me, this was a symbol of I'm never going back into the workforce, ever. We call hand tattoos job stoppers for a reason. And the thing was, to me, this was symbolic. I will always be a business owner from here on out because I have no choice. Unless I want to be an auto mechanic, not that there's anything wrong with that. Or an MMA fighter, who the shuttle bus driver this morning was like, dude, are you a fighter? I'm like, I've been in fights before. And he's like, no, are you like an MMA guy? I'm like, no. He's like, you look like one. I'm like, yeah, that gets me in trouble sometimes.
I gotta say this. Like, he says I've been in fights before. The last Break Free Academy he was at, he had a black eye.
So, no, that was October.
Seen the other guy, but I'm
it was,
saying that really
so the funny thing is, so I'm in the tribe now. I joined in August, so I've been in for about 10 months. And they did the reunion. That was the next event that after I joined. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going, because I need to go meet my new best friend, Ryan Stewman, who I just told, yeah, I need to make sure Robot Stewman's real. And so literally the weekend before Break Free Academy reunion, I'm at a wedding. And I'm at a wedding with like friends. We knew the bride and the groom. We were friends with both of them. We knew almost everybody in the wedding party. We were friends, like we hung out with them on a regular basis. And this is an Irish wedding, so everyone's drinking Jameson like it's going out of style. And the wedding party showed up at the reception just fucking tanked. And this one dude his girlfriend was flirting with me. If you've ever seen my wife in real life, she's maybe 115 pounds. She's tiny. She's only like 5'2". That's my style. I kind of go for that. This girl probably had like 3 of Amy in her. And I'm like, look, dude, I'm not interested. Well, the next thing I know, the dude's like on my face with his face, which I don't appreciate. And I'm like, dude, you need to get off. And he starts talking about all kinds of craziness. And then he shoves me, and I'm like, it just goes red. It's like, it's on. And so I pushed him back. He pushed me through the double doors into the kitchen, like literally, like it was like a brawl. And so the thing was, as I go back through the doors, I hit the table. He comes in and he swings at me, and he's really drunk. So it was just kind of like one of these like whoop, and I just set him up and I fucking hammered him. And I still got a scar here on this knuckle, and I busted 2 of his teeth out. Well, then he grabbed me, and keep in mind, like I'm making okay money at this point, like not a lot, but I'm doing okay. And it's funny. So when you make a little bit of money, you want everybody to think you make a lot of money. So I'm wearing a $3,000 suit, and I'm wearing a shirt that was custom made that had my fucking signature on the cuff. Like I'm big time. I got cufflinks. This shirt was $300. And dude tackles me, blood everywhere. And when the off-duty cop pepper sprays us and pulls him off of me, when he pulls him off of me, I let my guard down, and he hits me right in the eye. And as soon as he hit me, I'm like, motherfucker, that's gonna be a black eye. Like I could just tell. So the first time I meet Ryan, I got like cover up on, I'm like makeup. And I walk up, I'm like, hey man. He goes, what'd you do to your eye? And I'm like, I got in a fight at a wedding reception. He's like, and that's how I met Ryan.
I'm like, you belong with us.
Yeah, he's like, you're one of us. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah, so the thing was, they ended up taking the dude to the hospital because obviously they had to reset some of his teeth. And what I find out later, because I had to go to the police department and fill out a report, what I found out later was he had broke his ankle. And I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? Well, now he's like, I'm gonna sue you for my medical bills and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. Like, you're the one that started this thing. So then I just decided, you know what? If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna have a really good story. And I'm like, so we created, Larry and I, the Thunder Punch. And I can hit you so fucking hard in your face, it'll break your ankle. And I got proof. But anyway, all right. So we'll get back on track here. So the thing was, so I joined the tribe. And Roxanne's a closer. She was my salesperson. And she got on the phone, and she's, you know, Ryan's obviously really, really good at what he does, and he trains all these people. And the first thing she's like, so tell me about your business. How much money do you make? And I'm like, ego. I just got like 3 listings this week, and I'm going to a listing appointment right now. And she's like, awesome. Well, let me tell you about the program. Doesn't even talk about price. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go into this appointment. She's like, cool. I'll call you tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So she calls me back, and she's like, did you close that deal? I'm like, fuck yeah, I did. I told you I'm a closer. She's like, awesome. So you shouldn't have any problem paying for this. I'm like, send me the PayPal link. So here's the thing. So I'd always done rentals, and that was my gig. And I was like, all right. So when I realized it's hard to do real estate like the right way, I was like, all right, I'm just going to go back to what I know. I'm going to sling rentals. So I just started building a list of people that I thought would want to buy rentals in Ohio that lived in other expensive markets. So I'd find a really good deal, and I'd be like, hey, Ken, I got this really good deal. I'll be your real estate agent. You want me to write it up? And you're like, yeah. Do you think we can get a good deal? And I'm like, hell yeah, we can get a good deal. I'm a good negotiator. So we'd write it up, we'd lowball the thing, and I'd get you a smoking deal. And you're like, thanks, man. I'm going to do more deals with you. Cool. I made $1,800. You got to sell a lot of $60,000 houses to feed 5 children. I didn't have 5 at the time, but I had 3. I had 3, but I have 2 more now. So the thing is, I realized really quickly, like I said, I always see the angle, and I'm like, man, this is for suckers. I'm hustling my ass off, and I'm not getting paid. And Ryan's like, your paycheck is a reflection of the value you provide to the marketplace. And I'm like, I must be providing 0 value to the marketplace because I am broke. So anyway, I told Ryan, I'm like, he's like, hey, I could help you write a book. And I'm like, cool. I've always wanted to write a book, and I'm Dr. Matt Motil, and I should have a book. And he's like, yeah, here it is. I'm like, awesome. It's like 5 audios. I'm like, this is it? Like, it's hard to write a book. All right. So I listened to them all in like an hour. Maybe not. I think they're each an hour. So it was like a 4-hour commitment of my time. And then the magic happened. I did the work. So you have to put the work in, right? But I did. I wrote this book in 2 weeks. Now, we edited it for like 4, but that was partly because my editor was tied up because she was editing a different book at the time. This one. And it took her a really long time. And she's like, yeah, we'll get this back to you in 2 weeks. I'm like, cool. Like, book in 30 days. Because that's the name of the program, right? Book in 30 days. And then she's like, hey, this book's taking a lot longer than I thought. I'm like, whose is it? And I'm like, I paid you. And she's like, it's Ryan's. I'm like, oh, I can't really, like, what am I going to be like? Hey, Ryan, get out of the way. So anyway, so I wrote a book. It took me 6 weeks from start to finish. And we hit #1 on Amazon, which was cool. And then again, I realized, wait a minute, people were texting me, or not texting me because I don't give anybody my number. You guys can have it. But people were sending me shit on Facebook. And they're like, hey, I got your book. And I realized really, really quickly, I don't know who you are, and I don't have your information. And I need to make sure that that doesn't happen. So the thing is, you make a whole $2.25 for every book you sell on Amazon. You will not be rich by selling books, period. It doesn't matter if you're Stephen King. He gets a lot of money because the publisher gives him a lot of money, not because the book sells a lot of books. So the thing was, and if you read the book, there's a part where I talk about I got cancer when I was 30, and I almost died, but I didn't. And the thing is, so I found this organization that like helps people when they get cancer, and I didn't have that. And Livestrong like wasn't even a thing really all that much back then. And I was like, man, this was cool. Like, this is cool. I should volunteer. So I started volunteering for this group in Chicago called Immerman Angels. And what they'll do is, like, if you got the same kind of cancer I had, they'll partner us up, and then I'll be your mentor. And I can be like, hey, it's not that bad. I didn't die either. It's gonna be okay. Don't die. So, obviously there's more to it, and I'm a better mentor than that. But, so I did that, and I thought, you know what? You gotta think abundance, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna make so much motherfucking money from this book. I'm gonna give some to charity. So I reached out to the CEO, Johnny Immerman. He's the one that started it. And I'm like, hey, Johnny, my name's Matt Motil. You've never met me, but I've been volunteering with you for like 6 years now. And I wrote a book. It's coming out in February. And I want to give a portion of the proceeds of the book to your organization. He's like, rock on. He's like, I'll promote it on Twitter. I'm like, sweet. I paid $1,200 for the cover art. I paid a bunch of money for the editor. And I mean, I don't know if I'll ever like recoup it in book sales to where I'm actually ever going to make a donation. I'll probably make a donation at some point in time just because I told everybody that in the book that I'm going to donate something. But yeah, you're not going to get rich selling a book. But what you will get is you will get instant credibility. You become an instant authority because you've told them that you are. And the amazing thing is they let you publish whatever you want. And it must be true because it's in a book. And I learned that when I was doing my PhD. You cannot use books in your academic stuff because they let you publish whatever you want. So I was getting people that are like, hey man, I read your story, it's really cool. And I want to get into real estate investing. I'm like, it wasn't a real estate investing book. But the thing was, what I realized really fast was I was starting something. I was creating a movement. And so I coined it the New American Dream. So the old American dream was go to college, get a good job, get married, buy a house, have a bunch of kids, maybe a dog, rack up a ton of debt, and basically be an indentured servant for the rest of your life. That's the American dream. That's fucking bullshit. The New American Dream is leverage your money to gain time freedom. And what everybody can tell you at the beginning is, I want to be financially free. I got financially free. But then what you realize really quickly is, you can be working your ass off to be financially free. Once people get financially free, they want to be time free. There's levels to this shit. So you level up, and then you got to realize quickly that you got to level up again. And so I was like, I want more time. And the thing is, there's only two commodities in this world, time and money. You're either trading your time for money, or you're trading somebody else's time for your money. And at this point, I was like, I'm perfectly happy to pay somebody else to help me do what I want to do, right? So what was really cool was in May, I went on vacation. We've now kind of like taken this same week trip every year, and I ended up being on an island somewhere in the Caribbean on my birthday, which is really cool. But you know what's really, really cool? When all your tenants pay on time, and they all pay electronically, and you look at your bank statement while you got your toes in Jamaica. Or this year I was in Antigua, and I'm like, I just got paid. And I didn't do anything. And I got paid a lot. And that's cool. But what I realized really quickly was, I can sell that. It's a lifestyle thing. Do you hate what you do? Maybe not, but there's a lot of people that do. And I can help you out of that. And I can help you, we can leverage your income that you're making right now to buy rental real estate. And when you get to the point where your rentals are making enough money that you can fire your boss, you can. And when I get people on the phone, and I've sold rentals to some people that are in the room here, when you get on the phone with me, I have the same conversation over and over and over again. And it's the same one you guys learned yesterday morning. It's catch. I ask everybody, where are you from? Oh, I know somebody there. And most likely I've sold them a rental property, and we manage it remotely for them. Because if it can work for them, it can work for you, right? And then I ask them, what made you want to reach out? Why do you want to get into real estate? And typically, 90% of the time, it's like, I hate my job, and I want to quit. And the funny thing is, you get bored really fast when you don't have something to do. But the more important thing was, so some people are like, I want to spend more time with my kids. I'm never home. I'm not present. Whatever it would be, you find that pain. And I'm like, I can help you. We can sell you a rental. We can be on the way to financial freedom. And then the really cool thing is, and this just happened yesterday, is now we got a lender contact that can get you your money back in 30 days. Boom. So we can take the same pile of cash and we can roll it over every 30 days. So instead of needing 20% down every single time, because it's going to take a long time to recoup 20%, right? You got to sell a bunch of stuff. Now you can take that same pile of money, you can buy something, we hand it right back to you. You hand it back to us, you buy something else, we hand it back to you, you hand it back to us. And in the meantime, we're all just making money. And it's great. I mean, if you could do 10 deals a year, holy shit. Talk about passive income. I mean, if you're making $500 to $1,000 a month per unit, and you can do 10 or 12 of those in a year with one pile of cash that we just recycle over and over again. And I'm not trying to sell you, so I'm getting off track here. But the thing was, so I went from making $126,000 a year as a salaried employee thinking I was awesome, to having to unlearn the fact that just because I am very educated, that doesn't make me better than everybody else. And just because I know the correct form of there, and there, doesn't make me better than everybody else. And I had to relearn, I had to retrain myself. And so what we realized was that I'm not gonna ever be where I wanna be. I'm never gonna make $1 million a year making $1,800 a deal. It just isn't gonna work. And so I thought, okay, I need to make a team and I'll leverage the team. And then it was like, man, this is still sucky. And what I realized really quickly at one point in time was that the pay cycle in real estate blows. It's like 30, 45 days. And I'm speaking to the choir. Most of the people in the room are doing real estate in one form or another. And the thing is, if you realize today that you've got a bill that's due next week and you don't have enough money in your bank account, you are fucked. If you're in real estate, because I could sell a house every day this week and it ain't gonna do me a damn good next week when that bill comes due. And so what did I do? When I freaked out, I reached out to Ryan. I'm like, hey bro, I need to talk to you. I'm freaking out. He texted me, breathe. I'll call you in 5. He's like, what's going on? And so I explained it. He's like, dude, you're finding these great deals. What are you doing? And I'm like, what am I doing? And I have another mentor who Ryan introduced me to. So we do an intake call. So for people that just joined the tribe, you're gonna have a long call with Ryan to get everything kick-started. And the very first call, he's like, man, you're in Cleveland and you do real estate investing. He's like, you need to meet my boy Mark. And I'm like, okay. So he puts us in a chat and he says, Mark, this is Matt. Matt, this is Mark. And Mark's like, hey Matt, good to meet you. We should connect. I'm like, yeah, let's connect. So the next day, I get a Facebook message from Mark, a video message. And Mark is on the balcony of a hotel in Postino, Italy, with a beer in his hand and a cigar in his mouth, because that's usually how he rolls. No shirt on. And he's like, hey Matt, looking forward to connecting with you. I'll be back in the States in 2 weeks. Ping me when you're free today and we'll hop on a call. And I'm thinking like, who the hell did you just introduce me to? And so I get on his Facebook page and I'm like, dude, this guy's in Italy. He's with his family, his wife and his kid. And I didn't reach out to him for like 2 days. And then I finally was like, shit, man, this guy's like doing something good. I really should talk to him. And I texted him like, or messaged him on Messenger. I'm like, hey, bro, I didn't reach out to you because I know you're in Italy and you're with your family. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, I've never been to Europe. I've never been to Italy. And the last thing I would want somebody doing is bothering me when I'm over there. And he's like, I've been here for 5 weeks. I've been running my business from here. It's no big deal. Let's talk. He goes, are you free in an hour? Yes, sir. So he came back to the States when he was done on his vacation, and we hung out for a day. I still didn't really even know who I was sitting with or talking to. And the guy's like, well, tell me about what you're doing. I'm like, okay. So I tell him, he goes, how much money are you making on a deal? I'm like $2 grand, like 2 to 3 grand, like overinflated the fact I'm making 1,500 bucks. And he goes, I could give you like 20 or 30 of those a month. I'm like, what? And he goes, what do you want to make? I'm like, 2 to 3 grand, sir? And he goes, let's do it. And I came to Break Free Academy the next week, and I told Ryan, I'm like, dude, I think you just changed my life. And the funny thing is about Mark and I still have never done a deal together. But it's just because his deals and my buyers, like, we haven't figured it out yet. And we will. But the thing was, after I had that conversation with Ryan, I reached out to Mark and I'm like, hey, I think I need to do something different. And he's like, explain to me again what you're doing. Now keep in mind, this dude does about $60 million a year in profit in what I'm doing. So he
flew to Italy in his own fucking jet.
He flies private everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And he has like 4 Rolls Royces depending on which house he's at. Like
he's got a house in the Hamptons, he's got a house in Cleveland, in a nice part of Cleveland, and he's got a house in West Palm. And he lives in he splits time. So when the weather gets shitty in Florida, he flies private back to Cleveland because his wife's family's in Cleveland. So he kind of feels obligated. Anyway, I explained what I'm doing and he's like, so you're helping these people get really good deals? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, could they buy these deals without you? I'm like, no. He goes, well, would they buy it at full price? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, why don't you keep the difference? Light bulb. I'm like, fuck. I'm a smart dude, and I couldn't figure that out. So he's like, I want to come to my event. It's a 2-day thing, and it's $5 grand. And I'm like, fuck, I don't have $5 grand. And he's like, I'm like, well, can we work something out? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay. And so the thing was, I got off the phone with him, and I thought, limiting beliefs. And I thought, fuck, man, it's just not my time yet. I'm not ready, or whatever. And I sat there, and my wife came in, and she's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, well, Mark wants me to come to this thing. She's like, go. I'm like, it's $5 grand. She's like, oh. And I'm like, she goes, well, what did he tell you to do? I'm like, well, he told me to find a really good deal and sell it to somebody and keep the difference. She's like, do it. I'm like, okay. And so what I did was I found a really good deal, and I negotiated on it really hard. And I pitched it to my list on a Friday. I got it under contract on Friday. I pitched it to my list on Saturday. Somebody called me Saturday night and said, I want that deal. I'm like, great. Here's how much money it is. They were like, awesome. And I said, and I got it under contract for this, and the difference, you're going to wire me tomorrow. And the guy goes, okay. Nobody does that. No, when I tell people in real estate investing that I get paid immediately, they're like, what? Nobody does that. I'm like, nobody told me I couldn't. So I do. Now, we've structured it a little differently to where now it legitimately makes sense that I get paid right away. So I sold 2 deals that weekend. That Monday morning, I got wired into my bank account $28,500. I had never had $28,000 in any account, ever. It took me a long time to even think like, holy shit, this is real. So I called up Mark and I said, send me your PayPal. I'll be at your event on Thursday. And he's like, attaboy. And so I told Amy, I'm like, we just made 28 grand in 4 days. She goes, and this is why I love my wife, do it again. She goes, I'm not going to believe you until you can do it again. And so I went to the event, I learned a bunch of shit. I came back, it took me about a week to implement it. So I hadn't done a deal for 2 weeks. And I'm thinking like, maybe I can't do it again. And then I sold 2 more deals at the end of that month for another 28 grand. So we made $56,000 in March. Like it's June. This was in March. And so my wife's like, I don't believe you. Do it again. And so I texted Mark and I'm like, I just made $50,000 this month. He goes, what's going to be amazing is when you make 100 next month. And I'm like, what? That's not possible. So raise your hand if you think $20,000 is a lot of money. Everybody should raise their hands. It's a lot of money. But when I joined the tribe, my mindset had to shift really, really fast that $20,000 was not a lot of money. It's not. Especially when you look at how broke we are as a society when we make a lot of money. Okay. So the thing was, so we made 50 grand in March. And I turned around and the thing was, my wife in 2016 had made $44,000. So we made more than my wife made the entire previous year in 1 month. Because she had been part-time, going to school, you know, working, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, how cool would it be for me to make in 1 month what I made in my best year ever as an employee? And I'm like, I'm going on vacation at the end of the month, in April. We went on vacation for 13 days. And it was planned. My wife graduated. We literally got on a plane, and I took her on vacation for 13 days. And I sold 2 deals, one in Florida, when I was down in Florida, and then one literally from the deck of the ship before we left Puerto Rico. And that was on April 30th. And I texted Ryan before I lost cell service, and I said, I just sold a duplex from the deck of a cruise ship. He's like, awesome. And I said, what's even more awesome is that put us at $126,000 for April. And then, so I'm number 9. And what ended up happening was, we came back, and I got back in the middle of May, and I'm like, man. And Ryan said, do you think you can do it again in May? I'm like, I don't know, because we're going away for like half the month. We did 50 grand in May, with only being around for half a month. And so last Monday, I texted Ryan, and I literally said, fuck 6-figure months. I just had a 6-figure day.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So last Monday, we made $104,000 in 1 day, and that's profit. And the way we're structuring it, I don't even have to pay capital gains taxes because I have a big brain. So the crazy thing is, since we've been here, we just did a $100,000 deal. So fuck 6-figure days, I'm doing 6-figure deals. Now, that's a home run. We won't do that every single time. The thing is, how did this happen? It happened because I changed my mindset. I surrounded myself with people that forced me to level up. Not only that, nobody told me I couldn't get paid right away, so I did. Nobody told me I can't wholesale deals off the MLS, so I do. I have no competition because no one thinks they can do it there. So I'm basically like on an island all by myself. So Mark, just before I came here, he called me up. And so when a $60 million a year dude calls you up and his number's on your phone, you answer the phone. I'm like, hey man. He's like, hey, I had a really good time with you last week in Jersey. I'm like, yeah, me too. He's like, I want you to join my mastermind. I'm like, yes, sir. And I knew it was 30 grand. And I'm like comfortable paying $2,500 a month, right? Like at this point, it's cool. And he goes, all right, great. And we talked a little bit, and then he goes, all right, my assistant Sarah's gonna send you the wire instructions. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, I know you're leaving to go hang out with Ryan. He goes, so maybe like Monday, just wire me the 30 grand, and then we'll get going. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. He goes, all right, that's cool. He goes, you wanna do like 6 months at $5,000 a month? I'm like, sure. And I tell you what, I don't care how much money you make. Like when you're dropping lots and lots of money in one fell chunk, it's like, it still is like a moment.
When you come from upper limits where you didn't grow up with that money, you know what I mean?
Right.
I got to pay $100 grand a month in payroll, which we have, but it seems fucking astronomical and frustrating.
Totally, totally. So the thing is, everybody talks about millionaires have 7 streams of income. You're not a millionaire. You will be. Everybody in this room has the ability to be a millionaire. You should be. Everybody. But the thing is, you don't go out and get 7 streams of income all at once. You get really, really good at one thing. You get unbelievably focused. You get really, really good at saying no. You know how many people have hit me up since I've been here? Like, we should do this in my market. I'm like, no. We should do this in your market. No. I'm doing it where I'm at because that's what I need to do. I need to be unbelievably focused. Now, when I get to the point where that market's operating completely by itself, then yeah, I want to go sell shit with Ryan on Amazon. We're going to do that. I want to go into other markets. We'll do that too. Maybe it'll be your market. Maybe not. I don't know. But the thing is, you have to be unbelievably focused. You have to get really, really good at telling everybody no. And then the other thing is, you have to systematically, and this is my web toe shoot other mastermind guy, you have to get really, really good at systematically lowering the pressure and noise in your life. Every day, the first thing I do as part of my morning routine every morning is I ask myself the question, where was I uncomfortable yesterday? Did I not have enough money in my business account? Did I not have enough money in my personal account? Did I not like the fact that the deal flow went really weird yesterday and I felt like I was losing control of what was going on? We had too many leads coming in, we couldn't handle them, whatever it is. And then your number one task for the day is, don't do that again tomorrow. Solve that problem. And I tell you what, you want to make massive amounts of momentum in your business, just do that every day. And systematically offload it to other people or systems or whatever it would be so that your business runs that much more efficiently the next day. And I get told all the time on Facebook and social media, people go, man, you came out of nowhere. You like blew up overnight. And I was talking to Kent this morning, I said, how long have you been doing loans? He's like, 15 years. I'm like, you're an overnight success. And to a certain extent, could people say, holy shit, Matt, you came out of nowhere and you blew up overnight? Yeah, sure. Because in January, Lindsay knows, in January, my payment to Ryan bounced. I didn't have enough money in my checking account, so when the payment automatically came out, I got an email saying, we couldn't process your payment. I'm like, yeah, no shit. And then Lindsay, she's so sweet, she goes, hey, did you get like a different credit card or something? Because the payment didn't go through. I'm like, I don't know, I'll check. And she goes, okay, because it's going to process again on Sunday. I'm like, awesome. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm getting paid this week, so it's going to be good. When it goes through Sunday, we're going to be cool. And it always was. It happened twice, December and January. My payment skipped a week because I didn't have enough money in my fucking account to pay for it. When he raised the limits and said, legitimately now it's $20,000 a month, I scheduled time like everybody does, and we got on the phone and he's like, what's up? I'm like, you're not gonna kick me out, are you? Because the thing was, again, in trusting the process, Ryan says, do this, and I'm like, okay. And I knew that when I paid the PayPal link last August, I knew that this guy was the guy to change my life. And he has. And the people that are influencing me now at this point, Alex, Mark, Joe, guys like that are guys that I met directly or indirectly from Ryan. So when he was like, we're raising the thing and it's going to be legit, we want to make sure this is like an elite group, I'm like, don't kick me out, dude. I'm not there yet, but I'm like, I'm going to be. And I don't know how, but I'm going to be. And those of us that were in the tribe meetup in Denver, like I stood in front of the group and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need to do something and I need to figure it out. And the thing is, what we do in this world is we try something, and we're all entrepreneurs in this room. We try something, it fails, we try something, we fails, try something, it fails, try something, it fails. It tries something and boom, it gets traction and it takes off. And then you're overnight success, yeah. Right? Success is like pregnancy. Everybody wants to congratulate you, but nobody knows how many times you've been fucked. It's true. It's true. So, to wrap this up, I got jokes. So, the thing is, at the end of the day, I got really, really laser focused on what I wanted to do and what I needed to do. I sat down and I rewatched Core Influence. I've seen that video probably 5 or 6 times now. Every time I watch it, I take something new from that video. Frank Kern is a fucking genius. He's got a PhD too, Dr. Kern.
Dr. Kern, Chief NASA Scientist, what is it? Dr. Kern, Certified Public Accountant, Chief NASA Rocket Scientist, and Attorney Esquire, right?
Nah.
He has a hell of a time.
Yeah, he's got a lot of.
Fucking a high school
He's like me.
dropout.
So the thing is, I got really, really clear on who I wanted to help. I got really, really clear on how I wanted to help them. And I said, how do I want my business to be? Screw this 30, 45-day pay cycle. I'm not going to put up with that. I'm going to get paid immediately. So I do. Nobody told me I couldn't. Ryan didn't want to. He's like, dude, can I pay you at closing? I'm like, no. That's really how it went.
I paid you
And
upfront, too.
then Brandy, because he partnered with Brandy, Brandy's like, I'm not paying you. I'm like, yeah, you are. I'm like, this is what you signed. She's like, fuck you. And I'm like, shit, I gotta make payroll. Like, I got bills. Nobody cares. But the thing is, at the end of the day, set up a lifestyle that you want. You make the decisions. And that in the second half of that video where Frank's like, I made the decision I was gonna be on a beach, and I was gonna have this hot wife, and I was gonna have a couple kids, and I was gonna work 2 hours a day, and this was the kind of client I was gonna work for, and then boom, one day I woke up and I had it all. And I'm like, all right, awesome, I'll do that too. And now we're to the point where, I mean, we're not quite there yet, but it's like, we can run our business from almost anywhere. We did deals literally from the Caribbean on a cruise ship, and it's, you know, it's almost surreal. But at the end of the day, and this is probably the most important thing, and I know we all have phones, so I want everybody to do this. I want you to take out your phone, and I want you to put it in camera mode, okay? And I want you to flip the screen around to where you're in selfie mode, and I want you to take a hard look at that face that's in the screen looking back at you. Because that is, my microphone died. That is your only competition. It doesn't matter what anybody else has done before you. It doesn't matter how different they're doing it. Your business is different. At the end of the day, the hardest thing I have to do, and I don't have to do it as much, but I still do it every day. I used to do it like 3 or 4 times a day, is I would literally have to go and either look in my phone or look at myself in the mirror and say, shut the fuck up. Because the voice in my head told me, you can't do it again. The voice in my head said, you aren't going to be able to pay that bill next week when it comes in. The hardest hurdle that we have to overcome is the voice inside here. And once you can master that, you are fucking unstoppable. And that's what Alex told me. And it was like, when you hear it from somebody else, it's like, that's brilliant. I've been telling myself that, like, get out of your own way. But Alex, like, literally a month ago goes, dude, when you finally get the fuck out of your own way, you're gonna blow everyone away. He goes, I can't wait until you can finally get out of your own way. And I would encourage you to get out of your own way, tap into your own potential so that you can do exactly what you want to do. You're not here to be a better real estate agent. You're not here to be a better loan officer. I hope everyone here is here because they see themselves as eventually a business owner, a team builder. I want everybody in this room to get to the point where you've got a team of people working for you and you legitimately excel to the CEO position of your own company. You want to work 2 hours a day? Work 2 hours a day. But you got to put in the work to get there, but we should all want to get there. So I know I'm over time, I'm sorry. But anybody got any questions or comments or get off the stage?
I'll tell you this, I bought a house with him and he said said he's not trying to sell you. I'm trying to sell you on his house. It's a good deal. Okay? And so if you have, well, I'm just saying, if you haven't done it, you should do it, because the thing is, I'm going to be getting my original money back. It's only going to be like 3 months into it, and I'm going to be able to go over and get another house. Okay? And so he literally himself, and Ryan's the one. I asked Ryan, I said, how do I get into real estate? Because I'm the president and owner of my own company, but I have no idea about real estate, and half y'all in here do real estate, you make a shit ton of money doing it, and I want to know how to do that, you know? And so Ryan's like, hey, same thing. He's like, you know, here you go, meet Matt, meet Ryan, and then y'all talk. And he said the same thing. Hey, Ryan, when's a good time for you to connect? And I had bought a house by the end of the day, paid him $80,000 and wired it to him the next day. It was literally the easiest process ever. And now I own a house up in Ohio, okay, and I'm about to have my original money back with 2 renters in there, and I'm going to go do it the same damn thing the next month and the next month and the next month. So if you don't have the money to do it, find somebody in here and partner up and do the same thing, because that's what who else? Brandy and Dana.
Brandy partnered up with me.
Dana and Brandy and Lindsay bought 3.
Yeah, so if you haven't done it, just get him a call with him and see what he has to offer, because he can change your freaking life.
But you know, the thing was, when we decided who we wanted to help, we realized that there was a hole in the market, and it was people were being taken advantage of in that space. There's a lot of predators out there, and I thought, you know what? If I can provide people with just really, really good service, and I actually help them win, we're going to have this unique business that people are going to be like, holy shit, man, you legitimately want to help me.
And you did all the work, and he just sent me the paperwork, and I signed and wired the money, and I was a house owner, and it's getting taken care of. He's doing everything. Okay, he's got a completely done-for-you service.
That's a property management company that collects our checks and puts them in our account every month. So. Good stuff, man.
Go get books. Go get books. I don't want to take all those books home.